Well, welcome to Breaking the Silence. You have a voice. And it is almost the end of this year. Can we ask COVID to go away? Because
Right.
I don't know, but y'all, I'm over it. I'm just over it. Okay, it's too much. It's too much going on, and we need it to go away. And
Agreed.
I'm grateful that we survived it, but it's just doing too much right now. So my prayer is that it just goes away. Um, we have had a fabulous year. This has been an awesome year of health and prosperity. And yay, I got married on Christmas Eve.
Yay! Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So kudos
Congratulations.
to my wonderful husband, Derek Hall. And I love you so much. And he's out doing a lot of shopping right now. So, but we want to talk about tonight change. Are you ready for change? Because, when COVID started, I think that a lot of people were not ready for change. It was so many things that transpired during that first year. And now we're into the second year. And it's almost like change is really forcing us to change. Things that's going on around us is forcing us to change. So we're going to talk about, are you ready for change? Resolution or solution. And before we start, I want to welcome all of our viewers to Breaking the Silence. Welcome our Caribbean Jammers, YouTube viewers, Facebook viewers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and with family, and I hope everybody was safe. I want to introduce our other hosts. We have Dr. Yvonne Bennett. Welcome, welcome. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. I'm excited. I'm excited about my oldest daughter getting married and all. I'm just excited and very, very happy for her.
And we want to welcome Dr. Isaac Davis. How you doing, sir?
Hey, and good evening, everyone. I'm doing well. Just
How's
getting
that
my
voice
stuff.
going?
Yeah, it's slowly coming back. It's slowly coming
It's
back.
Barry White right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
he's
right.
very right going on right now.
How
Yeah,
y'all
yeah,
really
it's
doing?
okay. It's all right.
Oh my goodness.
Pastor 18, how's it going?
It's
Is
great. I'm doing well. I pray everyone else is doing well. I'm looking forward to continued change as we head into the new year and expect great things.
And last but not least, we have the wonderful, beautiful Pastor Melanie Butler. How you doing tonight,
I
man?
am doing well. Thank you.
Good, good. You all ready for the new year? Is anybody doing anything New Year's Eve? I know we staying in the house. We ain't
No,
Staying
going
but
home.
we'll have our service, which would be via your live stream.
there you go.
Um, and we will record it and keep it moving.
We're gonna keep it moving. There you go. We're gonna stay safe. We recommend that
That's it.
everybody
We'll
stay
do a house
healthy,
party.
stay safe.
There you go.
Yes, yes. Well, you know, I feel like these 2 years have caused a lot of us to change. From who would have thought, first of all, we'd be in a pandemic for going on 2 years now. We thought that maybe it would be over. A lot of people were acting like it was over the beginning of last year or this year, but it's still going on and numbers are spiking. But we want to talk about change. We hear people say, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And do we make really want to make resolutions or do we want to find solutions?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So anybody, I'm gonna open it up to the panel.
Um, well, honestly, if I'll start. For me, I know everybody gets all happy about Thanksgiving and Christmas, but for ever since I was small or whatever, New Year's Day has always been a my holiday for me because it's the start of new beginnings. But I also learned over the years as you get a little older, you want to make sure that you start this process before you get to the new year. And some people would say, hey, what does a day make as far as changing over? Really, it's just the mindset. You have the whole world on one accord that we're starting something new. And there's a psychological thing that happens to us when everybody is thinking the same thing. It's the same thing when, as far as Christmas, we understand, theologically, Jesus wasn't born on that day, but it's something about the world taking the time together to celebrate. So likewise with New Year's, it allows people to kind of make some adjustments. Even if you're at work, you have performance evaluations, yearly, annual reviews, those type things where you evaluate what you want to do, what you want to change. And it's no different than what we do now coming into the new year. So I've already started making changes about 4 weeks ago, as far as diet and exercise and different things like that. That way I'm not just starting on January 1, I'm headed into the new year with that new mindset.
Amen. That's we can't, you're muted. Lady V, you are muted.
I think that all of us start off probably about the same. We have these things that we say that we're gonna, and we always have a great start. But how well are we with having a great finish? Like we start off saying, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to be goal driven, I'm going to accomplish this, I'm going to do this. And then somewhere in the midstream, things happen, and it seems like we take 2 steps back. So how does that happen?
Okay, that's a good question. I know years ago, of course, we used to always make New Year's resolution, and then like the second week of January, maybe the fourth week of January, what did you say? It was like, what did I say I was gonna do? Did I really make a resolution? Oh, I forgot, and have fallen off. And so from me not sticking to New Year's resolution, it caused me to stop making them. However, last year, I'm going to say it has been exactly a year ago, I started the weight loss journey, and I have been consistent. And so it started in December of last year, and it continued on. And so that's one thing that I had set out, and I purposed within myself that I was going to lose this weight, and not only lose it. And I thank God for my oldest son, Joshua, because I said, when I was on this journey, and I said, son, I said, okay, yes, it is hard losing weight. I said, but the hardest part is keeping the weight off. And he said, Mom, he said, that's where people get in trouble. He said, because people lose weight and they go back to their old way of doing things. He said, your weight loss journey, that's a new way of life. And when he said that, the light bulb went off, and I was like, oh my God, you are absolutely correct. And so that has been my driving force to be able to stay on this weight loss journey. And so literally for a year, I have been, it's been all about consistency and having the determination. And like he said, it is my new way of living. And so when you think of it that way, it's a lot easier.
I totally agree. I think that when we talk about change is more consistent than anything. A lot of times we start off as, on a journey, whatever our goals are. We set these goals, we set these plans. We say we're going to do this, we say we're going to do that, but we're not consistent with it.
That's it. So that's right.
And then we also get frustrated when we don't see good results. When we talk about change is consistency in order for it to for you to get the results. And a lot of times we're not patient enough to wait for the results. We do it 1 or 2 times and we're like, oh, I did it and it didn't work. And so now I'm gonna go back to the way things used to be. And it takes time because you have to constantly work on it. You have, like you said, losing weight. We don't lose the weight, or we don't maintain. I like to say maintain good health, because a lot of times we're trying to lose weight, but we're not maintaining good health.
Exactly.
And maintaining good health is important. It's not so much about being thin or, whatever we're trying to accomplish. It's really about us maintaining good health. So if I'm trying to maintain good health and I'm consistent with it, then I'm going to see the results that I'm seeking.
Yeah.
So I think that is more consistency than anything.
Right.
It
I
is.
can definitely.
Totally.
So usually the last week of the year, the last week of each year is my reflection week, and this is the week that I sit down and I actually write down the actual things that I've accomplished, the things that God has blessed me with, and also the things that I want to accomplish for the next year. Um, First and foremost, I think that we make goals that are unattainable.
Mm,
We don't,
Hmm.
and then when we set those goals to be unattainable, the reason they are because we don't set periods to where we say, okay, let me check in on myself to make sure that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing, to make sure that the goal that I set for myself is being accomplished. So I'm actually thinking about the past 2 years, since we have been in this COVID environment. First and foremost, these last 2 years has been my most blessed 2 years of my life. That I'm sitting here and thinking like, God, how did you make this happen? But He did just that. So um, I'm looking forward to 2022 being a to be a deeper revelation into into my own spirit into my own spirituality with God. Uh,
mhm.
that is one of the goals that I have. I can't share the other ones yet, but the that is my top goal for 2022, um, because that means more to me than anything. And just like uh, um, just like Solomon prayed for wisdom, um, that's what I'm looking for, and myself, because with our wisdom, it brings so much more. So, but I'm looking forward to 2022 and all the greatness that it's about to bring.
Mm.
Mm,
I agree. And something Pastor AT said, I've already started, and I'm one of those people. I have to start before, so I can, what I did, I took inventory of changes that I had planned to make in
Mhm.
2021, and I looked and I said, few of these things I didn't accomplish. So I looked back and I took inventory and I started already making those changes. But one of the greatest, like Dr. Isaac said, is for me to have that closer relationship with the Lord, because I do know it's better to not make a vow than to make a vow and break a vow.
Mhm.
So what I want to do is I want to be consistent, more
Yes.
consistent this year. That's my key word for the year of 2022. I want to be consistent in everything that I do, no matter what it is. And if I see that I can't be consistent, I don't want to touch it. I want to leave it alone. So I'm working on things that I had planned to make changes in uh, 2021, and I've already started bringing it over to
Yeah.
2022. So that's where I am.
So
See,
why
and,
do you
and
think that some people they struggle with consistency? What are some of the struggles that people have with being consistent?
I would
Yeah.
say they don't have a plan and they're not honest with themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like Dr. Isaac was saying, we bit off more than we can chew. We don't have attainable goals.
Mm-hmm.
So we say I'm gonna lose. We don't, instead of us saying I'm going to change my diet and try to eat better and eat the things that will cause me to gain weight, they're gonna say I want to lose 30 pounds in 15 days. You know, those are
Exactly.
goals that are not. attainable, and even if they were attainable, they're not sustainable. And so therefore you really are hurting yourself, and you're not honest with yourself, because you know that you have not made the small changes in your diet to, to get to those things. So instead of saying I'm going to go 30 days without eating sweets, how about we just go a week without
Yeah.
drinking soda? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Or try to add honey instead of the sugar. You still got sweets, but it's not the same thing. And so I found in my life and dealing with other people, if you are honest with yourself and you make small adjustments, the small adjustments eventually add up.
Mhm.
Because I believe it takes 90 days in order for you to have a habit, or create a habit. But
Yeah.
the ultimate thing, based off
21
everything we
days.
said, and Dr. Isaac said it, and Dr. Bennett said it, and what I'm hearing from God for me is discipline. Discipline
Discipline.
in every aspect of my life. If I'm disciplined in my walk with God, I'm disciplined in my studies, because I graduated, but if towards the end, I'll be honest with you, I kind of was like throwing some papers together because it felt like I was just kind of getting to the end, and I don't even know if how I got the grade I got. So God said, be disciplined in every aspect of your life,
Yeah.
your word life, your prayer life,
Yeah.
your fasted life. Be disciplined in your life and have some measure of control, because when you don't have control, you're subject to be all over the place. And that's kind of where I'm kind of gearing my life for. And that's the reason why I have to make these changes now, because if I may not make them on January 1st, and then be 2 weeks in and be messed up and back to the same way.
And
Yeah,
I think
it
one of
takes
the
21 days to
yeah.
actually break a habit. 21
Good.
days. And
Yeah.
it is all about consistency, but I think the problem with people being consistent is that they get bored. I'm tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again, and
Yeah.
they feel like this is the mundane, and okay, I need something else. I need something different. And the biggest thing that people have a problem with it is weight loss. And it's easy to put on the weight, but it's harder to take off the weight. And the reason why it's harder is because it's discipline, consistency, and you have to maintain. And it's the things that you ate, that you enjoyed gaining the weight. Now it's time for you to either moderate that or take it away altogether. and
I
and
think
that's what
that
people are not willing to do. So for me, I never did say I couldn't have this or that. Everything I did, it was in moderation. It's just
There you go.
that I did a lot less of the sugars, or I did the calorie counting. And so I didn't say I can't have this, because but for me, if I say I can't have something and I really want something, because the minute you say you can't have it, that's when you want it.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so
mind thing.
and so it is. And so what I did was, no, I want it, so I'm just going to have maybe one or two. Whereas
Hmm.
if I said I'm not going to have it, then when that craving was so that desire or that craving was so heavy, then you overindulge, and then it's like you can't stop yourself. So I said, no, if I want it, I'm going to eat it. But I literally maintained, and it was so little. My daughter said, I'm so sick of hearing about carbs. Yeah, no, I can't have it. It's carbs. How many carbs? I did a lot of carb counting, but it,
is
Yeah.
it
that,
worked. It
Yeah.
worked.
I
but I
think one
think
of
that
the
too. Go ahead, Mom.
I just wanted to say one of the reasons I think people have a problem with consistency, they are afraid of losing control of their own will.
Mm,
Their
Yeah.
own will. People will to do things, their choices. I'm losing control. Someone else, something else is controlling me, and I think that's one of the problems with people not being able to be consistent. And like Pastor Mel said, they get bored. So I got to do something else. I just had a client with that. I said, why do you continue to do that? Because I get bored. You know, you have to exercise that discipline. I like that word, Pastor At. Discipline is the key to everything. Discipline. When you discipline, if you plan to discipline yourself, if you know you like cookies and you know you shouldn't eat it, don't buy it.
You know what? a comment I want to make to that is that a lot of people expect the microwave.
Yes.
Yes.
We expect the microwave results.
Yes.
And
Montage.
it is so horrible because our society has created the avenue for everything to be placed right in our hands
Yeah.
the
Yes.
moment that we need it.
Yeah.
If we need to research something,
True.
we can go right to our phone and actually research it. Um, the libraries of what we all are accustomed to going to
Say
cannot keep
it.
up with today's technology when it comes to researching, when it comes to getting devoted research. And Dr. B can definitely attest to this. Is that when you are doing your doctoral studies, every single thing that you write about has to be peer reviewed. It has to be something that is documented and reviewed by peers. So, um, but when you look at what our society is, it creates the environment
Mm.
to be instant. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or even if you go back to our times, whenever that we lost weight, we actually lost weight mostly by being outside playing.
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm.
and then also a lot of foods were not processed like they are
Mhm.
today
But
too.
I want to
But
go
then,
back. I want to go back to, is it about really, because I think that the bigger emphasis is, and this is something that I believe that we should have learned with COVID. It's more health awareness
mhm,
Mhm.
than
Oh,
agreed,
yes.
agreed,
Totally.
everybody
agreed.
who
Totally.
is thin is not healthy. You have a lot of
Right.
people that are small, but they're not healthy.
They're
So
not
when you
well.
talk
Correct.
Correct,
about when
correct.
you
Correct.
talk about consistency and discipline, I think the bigger thing is being aware of what you put into your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm,
Pastor
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
Melanie said, your carbs, your intake of salt, your
Sugar.
intake
mhm,
of sugar, and
Mm.
all of those things. Because when we talk about how COVID has uh, affected some people, it's because some of these people have had different health issues that have been
Mm-hmm.
that has caused um, them to now have more issues, versus when you are aware of what you eat, you are aware, and like you said, doing it in moderation is really really important. When you eat a lot of things and you're constantly feeding your body with those things are not healthy. So
Correct.
you have to cut back. You have to cut back on, your meat intake, your pork intake, your chicken intake, your fried foods intake. Whatever it's hard, but those 21 days will cause you to turn away and say, you know what, I feel better
Yes.
because I have eliminated some of these things out of my diet. When you eat, you don't want to feel bloated. You don't want to feel miserable.
Right.
You don't want to feel
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I can't even make it up the stairs, because I didn't ate so much, and and
But
it's
let's
and it's
be
not just that. It's
let's be honest though. We my,
It's to me a lot of the discipline, whether it's, I mean, the doctors tell us we should walk, we should exercise. There should be some type of exercise, mobility going on, because now we're talking about making sure that we eliminate as much as possible the arthritis and things of that nature that comes along just as being older, that we don't want to face those things, and we can help those things not to happen. Then why not discipline ourselves to do that? It's a
but,
lot of things that we just don't discipline ourselves to do.
but see, the thing about it is, it's a mind thing.
It is.
It starts with the
It
mind.
is.
The
Absolutely.
reason why we
Yes.
don't do these things, and the reason why we can't stay on point, is because we're not thinking about the fact that we're going to eat this ice cream and be bloated and can't walk up the stairs, because all we want at the time, we on autopilot. I'll be honest with you.
Right.
Half of this, no, not even half, most of the stuff that we eat has preservatives and chemicals in it that
Yep.
causes us to crave it. we become addicted to what we are eating. That's the reason why no matter what you bought in the store, whether it's deemed healthy, low cal, low carb, keto, Daniel fast, whatever, depending on what it is, or vegan or whatever, they have certain chemicals in there that will usually cause us to want to go back and get it again. The reason being is it takes 3 days, at least 3 days, for the body to be officially hungry. So when you say that you're hungry and you skip lunch, you're really just talking about the chemicals in your body craving it. So when it goes back to it, it's a mind thing. I once went on a fast once I cleaned myself out, right? And I scared myself because at 72 days in, I got past the mind thing to a certain extent, to where it's like, okay, I haven't eaten anything. I started to scare myself because it's like, you need to eat something. You need to eat, knowing that I got enough fat on me to last me another 2 years if it had to be that way. Let's just be honest. And so the body, I'm just being honest. But we tell ourselves this stuff in our minds, and it kicks us out of certain things that we know to do right. And so really it starts in the mind. You really, resolution or solution is all based off of where you start in your mind. If you don't see it, there's a need for there to be a solution. You ain't gonna make no resolution or solution for the problem at hand.
So true.
And
So
it's
what
true.
about
It does start in the mind. It does.
It does.
So what about changing our ways, our attitudes? Because I think that people struggle more with changing their ways about them and attitude, and we said mindset, than anything.
That's because we don't take self-assessment.
Right.
Exactly.
There's another piece to that. And I'm not going to dominate this thing, but here's the thing. When you try to make a change in your own mindset, right? Remember, our behavior, the reason why it's called our behavior, it's not what we do while we're alone, it's how we interact with the world. And I remember I did this study on change. When I go out into the world, I guarantee you tomorrow, if I go to my job tomorrow and I'm more reserved and I'm more quiet, I'm more of an introvert and I'm not as open, people are going to come to me. What are you feeling okay? What's wrong with you? If I do that here at the house, my wife will be like, you got an attitude, you ain't acting yourself, because that's not what they're used to. So it's hard for us to change our behavior in certain things when we have social pressures from the people who've already known us. That's the reason why when you go back to the Bible, there's certain things that Jesus couldn't do in his hometown because of their unbelief, because they knew him from where he was. And so you can't really move and do all the things you want to do sometimes when the people around you know you like that.
And I'm happy you said that, because in a situation like that, and you're wanting to change and work on you, that's where you have to tell the people around you, there's nothing wrong with me, but I'm working on me. So while I'm working on me, just be patient. And then that can help them, and that can help them as well as you helping yourself and growing.
You acting snotty, you stuck up, you ain't yourself. Oh, you don't lost a little weight. Oh, you think you somebody. Oh, you got your new hair on before the new year. I can't say nothing to you. You know what I'm saying? They'll do it to you.
No.
They will kick you back out. You try,
exactly.
and that's the problem as we go into this new year when people try to make changes. The biggest issue is how we deal with ourselves. But you have to note that there's other people who are going to fight you on your change.
That is so true. That is true.
That's
very
right.
true.
That's
very true.
Roland Carey said, change and goals should not be earmarked by year resolution. Every day should live with an intention of being better than the day before, one day at a time. And then
that is true.
Jennifer said people have a problem with consistency and discipline because they are afraid of failure. And I think
that is so
to a certain degree, that's true, but it goes back to something Pastor AT said. It's also, we're afraid of what people are going to say. We are so people driven. We are so people driven. So when we make these changes and people start seeing us change, they think that something's wrong with us because we're embracing change. Well, you're bougie, you're this, you're that. No, I'm just embracing change. There's nothing wrong with change. And I think that that's one of the reasons why we hesitate in changing things that are going on in our lives, certain circles of people, certain things that we do, because we're afraid of more, not a failure, but we're afraid of what other people are going to say, because people are so they hate, they're critical,
Mm-hmm.
and they put so much pressure on us when we do attempt to make the change. It's like they're hating us because change is taking place.
You know,
Well,
Yeah,
I
and
want
you
to say,
know another
that's
thing
I
true.
want to,
too.
That's true. With
You
people,
know, when
go ahead, Pastor.
the another thing is that I think sometimes we're afraid of change as well because we like where we are at, and we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
see sometimes we are our own hindrances
Yes.
from getting to the new us, because
Yeah.
number one, we're comfortable where we are at, and it's going to take work to get to the new you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
Change.
right.
Change
absolutely.
takes a lot of work.
It
Change
does.
takes a lot of work. And when you, let's go back to uh failure. Lady V said it. People put so much pressure on people when they see that you've changed. But you know, change is is it's inevitable. You should be different when you turn 40 than you were when you were 20.
Exactly.
So expect me to change. If I were the type of person that was very outspoken and as far as pitch is concerned and so forth and so on, I still may be a very forward person, but I should have learned some wisdom in not what I say, but how I say it. So
Exactly.
when people can't accept a lot of times when you start to change. When you start to change, and
That's
it's
true.
inevitable, you should change. I'm 76
Mm-hmm.
years old. I cannot act the way I acted 25 years ago. And no one
Right.
can expect that. But now if I come into a group of, a circle of women that I know, and I come in with a different demeanor, don't look at me as if I'm bougie or I'm moody or whatever you may label me to be. He said, I'm older. I've learned differently. I've learned not to go in and start a conversation in the midst of certain people because I know
Mm-hmm.
how they are. So I don't want you to look at me as if I'm the villain because I've learned wisdom. It's not so much change, it's growing
Wisdom.
in wisdom. And it does start in the mind.
Okay, I got
It
2 points
really
on
does.
point. So with the Volas comment, I agree, but the Vola, what we're also talking about is having a plan. So and
Hmm.
every single day we should be working on that plan.
Right,
Okay, Jennifer, I can agree and disagree to your statement
Mm-hmm.
because my greatest competition is myself.
It
right,
is. There
right,
you
So
go.
why
right.
should I be even worried about what anybody else think?
What anybody
So
says,
um
right,
so so but when we talk about resolutions or solutions, then I have to decide for myself, what do I want for myself?
right,
Mm-hmm.
And then on that, hey God, what do you want for me? Um,
Exactly.
Amen.
and I
Amen.
and I do believe that's where we have a huge disconnect.
right,
And I'm going to say I really don't care what God that you believe in, but if you believe in a God, you know that there's a level of connection that you have, that
right,
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you can reverence and be like, yo, God, what's up? Look, I
right,
need to know what you got for me. I need to
right,
know what is my purpose,
right,
and and also, but what do you want me to do for this next year?
right,
Um,
right.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
comes
so
along.
and
What's the
and
plan? What's the
and
plan?
I think
exactly,
one of the
That's
key words
right.
is acceptance. We have
exactly.
to
Yes.
accept. We have to accept what changes we need to make. We
Mm-hmm.
have to
Mm-hmm.
accept.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And
but look, watch this.
like Dr. Isaac said, look, I am my worst enemy. For real,
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
real.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
come down on myself. I'm not worried about other people because you can't
Right.
go, this person will think that and no, no. I'm not worried about failing people ever, ever. But I do want to please God. And if you want to
Amen.
please God, you want to take a self assessment to see where do I need to improve. And that
Mhm.
comes along with growth, maturity, acceptance. You have
Yes,
to accept that.
and then also this, we know what we need to work on and what we need to change. So
That
why
part.
There you
lie to
go.
ourselves about it?
I don't need anybody to tell
That's
me.
it.
We don't
I'm
Right.
just saying.
need we
Exactly.
already know what we need to
Yes.
work on
Yes.
and
And
what we need to change,
half the
what we need to
time,
improve.
when somebody's, even if they're saying it to you, really it's confirmation.
There you
Yeah.
If
go.
somebody's
Yeah.
saying you
Yeah.
don't, that's kind of, if somebody, a loved one, a dear loved one, is saying, those pants are a little tight, you feeling that
Right.
out, you may need to move
You
to a different
already know
side.
that.
You
You
already
already
know.
know.
You
You already
already
got
know
the
it.
line marks from when they've been
Right.
cutting you in the stomach.
Right.
So
I
you
like
have
that.
those notes.
That
If
is so
somebody
true.
says, okay, you need to make an adjustment or investment, and I just don't want to be about food, but let's look at other aspects of our life, because
Right.
people, as a community, we're like the number one spenders and we don't save as much. Well, how do you start the process? Start saving $25. Have a process. But when
Bingo.
somebody tells you that, you already know that you live in paycheck to paycheck, and this is not the will of God for your life. So you
Right.
start making
Right.
these adjustments and don't fight it. But
Mm.
I had a thought though. I had read a study that said every 7 to 10 years we get like a new set of close friends, and I
Mhm.
start to wonder if
Wow.
that's the reason why. That the reason why that happens is because it allows us to continue to grow and change. That the
Yes.
people who
Mm-hmm.
saw
Yes.
me at my
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
20s are not locking me into my 20s, because I got a new
Right.
set of friends at 30, and the people I have now at 40 are different than what I had.
Yes. Yes.
So I started to think about that with that psychological study, and then also how things work. Because people, if you roll with the same people you've known for the last 40 years, that's why
Right.
sometimes your family can be a problem. That's
Yes.
Or
also the
if
reason
you
why.
roll with
Yes.
people that you are only comfortable in being around.
Right.
Because a
Yes.
lot
Yeah.
of times we don't want to be around different groups of people
Yep.
because they
Mhm.
challenge us to change.
Yes.
I
Yes.
Bingo.
Yes.
That's
when
Yes.
good.
when you
Adjust your
start
people.
broadening your it's easy to be around people that agree with you. It's easy to be
Yes.
around
When
people
you the
that,
man.
every time you say something they're like, oh yeah. But see,
Mhm.
when you talk about a desire to change, you should want to be around those people that challenges you,
Yes.
also challenges your way of thinking, that causes you to think a little differently. And a lot of times
Yes.
we're
Yes.
not comfortable with that. But also, when we talk about change, a lot of times change doesn't take place because we are looking at other people who need to change
Yes.
and not the
Yes.
change that we need to make ourselves. We do other people
So true.
assessments and we
Yes.
don't do
That's
self-assessments.
right.
And so
Yes.
that's
Yes.
why things don't happen the way
Amen.
we want them to happen, because it's easy for me to look at you and say,
I
okay,
appreciate
that's
that.
Melanie, you need to change XYZ.
Right.
Pastor AT, you need to change this, and this.
Yeah.
Husband and wife, best friends. It's easy for us to look at the other person, but what we don't realize is when I do a self-reflection, change promotes change. So
Yes.
I change, it causes people around me. Go back to something that Pastor AT said. When I walk into my building, like today, everybody knew I wasn't feeling well because I walk in every day. I'm like, good morning. How's everybody doing today? I got my mask on. I got no eyelashes. I look crazy. And they all looking at me like, the one girl, she started rubbing me on the back. She said, Miss Yvonne, are you okay? You would thought I was dying. I said, I'm a little under the weather. Oh, you just look so terrible, because they're not used to seeing me like that. They're used to seeing me top notch.
And
So
they don't want to see that version of you.
right.
Right.
So
Right.
then when I talk to my supervisor, I'm calling her about somebody else who has COVID. I'm talking like this, and I'm like, well, so-and-so has COVID. She said, okay, well, do the proper protocol. But let's talk about you, because you don't sound good. I'm like, what? She said, you need to go home because you sound terrible. So a
Yeah.
lot of times we're looking at other people and we're like, oh, well, this person and this person and this person, but we're not turning it back on us to
Yeah.
see those things because it's so easy.
Yes.
When you look at people who have been divorced, if you ask somebody, well, why did you get divorced? It's so easy for us to look at, and I'm gonna go with the divorced people because it's 3 of us that's been divorced. We can lay it on down. Okay, this is what they didn't do. This person did this is. But then when they ask you, well, what didn't you do?
Right.
You're
I
like,
got the halo on. I don't know what you're talking about.
what? I did everything
What you
perfect.
talking about right
And
there?
then we give these answers like, well, if it hadn't been for him or her saying such and
Yeah.
such, I would not have responded. No, you got to
I can't be
step back
Lord.
because here's the thing. Whatever you didn't do and your problem was in that first marriage, it'll show up
Say
again.
it.
Yeah, if
That's
you don't fix
right.
it,
Always follow you
That's
in whatever
right.
relationship. So when you don't take out the time to self-evaluate, I think I told my daughter this one time when she was getting married. I said, I can't really quite tell you how to make a marriage work yet because I ain't been successful, but I can tell you how to tear one apart.
do the opposite.
Okay, because it's real. We do things and we don't look at ourselves and we don't evaluate ourselves and say, well, I was the common denominator. This is what happened, and I wasn't successful at it. So maybe I needed to bridle my tongue a little more. Maybe I needed to fine tune that attitude that I had. But when people say stuff to us, no, I don't have that.
Right.
People would rather use the terminology, this is the way I am.
Right.
Yes.
But it may be the way you am, but the way you am needs to change.
Exactly.
And my response to that, if that's the way you are, then go ahead and die then. Because everybody is supposed to be growing. If you ain't gonna change and grow, then go ahead and give up the ghost because you ain't no good to God or nobody else. And keep it moving. Because everybody, as long as you breathing, you should be developing and growing in faith and God and everything else. You should not be the same. You don't lock this thing in at 30 years old. So.
But let's face it, most people don't want to accept the fact that they need to change. Even animals. I went to the bird sanctuary today, and in the bird sanctuary, they have a section where they call it homeless, where people they've had exotic birds and they beat them and so forth and so on, and they give them to this great big store. So I went in there, and when I went in there with my little grandbaby, she started crying. She just couldn't get with the program. She started crying, and one of the great big Amazons started crying too.
Oh.
Because these are trained birds. And so I got her out. I had her mom get her out, and I went back in and I started singing to this whole little homeless group. And the bird turned his ear over to my face like this. I said, boy, this owner's gonna not understand where this bird got all this Jesus talk from. So even birds can accept change. Because before, I went to the bird sanctuary years ago, and these birds were beaten, and one of the birds said, hey, you bee. Hey, you bee. Because that's what they heard. So if birds can change, we can change.
But y'all know something, this is why we can't get out of this pandemic, because we don't like change. We can't get people to follow the simple rules of please don't go anywhere. Please don't have large gatherings. Please don't. They keep saying that the numbers are going to spike every time we do this. And we keep doing what we're doing, which is why, because we don't like change. We don't like the change that COVID has caused us to make. And I'm number one. I'm telling my own self. I told you I don't like wearing a mask. Now I'm at a job where I gotta wear a mask all day. I'm at a mask for about 10 hours. It's killing me. But I gotta wear the mask. I gotta social distance. I gotta follow the rules. It's what it is. But you have people, they're so busy fighting. But everybody keeps saying it's this government. It's not the government.
No, it's the people, but they also it's the people, but they also don't trust the process. Here's the deal. When you go back, if you go back to 1918 when they had the Spanish flu, right? People don't realize that took about 2 to 3 years in order for it to run its course. And they didn't have none of the medicines and booster shots that we did.
Correct.
So when we consider the fact that this is a thing that's going to have to run its course. Yes, there's something that we can do to make sure that we stay safe and that we lower the numbers and stuff like that. but there's something that's just going to have to run its course over the time, and then everybody builds up the immunity to it. But as Adam Silver said, the NBA commissioner, he said it's going to get to the point where people are going to have COVID, and it's going to be like they're going to play
The
with COVID
flu.
if you don't
Yeah.
have the symptoms. So it's just something that we're going to have to learn to deal with as we become used to it and build up the antibodies and different things like that. So.
You know what?
No, that is so true.
Since you talked about that, let's look at the flu. What does the flu shot does? The flu shot does not prevent you from getting the flu.
Getting the flu, correct.
It just prevent you from dying from the flu, right? So, and so like you said, pretty simple, like any other outbreak that
Mm-hmm.
was not fully um, understood or fully studied. It's just like anything. But like you said, that as time change, how are we going to be able to live
Right.
with whatever condition it
Correct.
is? Because
Correct.
even you go back even when you go back to the actual Bible terms, they had the plague.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
And
plague
leprosy. And leprosy.
and leprosy. So, but it lasted for whatever period of my time. But definitely.
That
I
is
mean, we've
true.
But
had the
Can
Hong
can
Kong flu, we've had Ebola, we've
the
had a
flu,
whole lot of
yes.
stuff,
Yes.
whole lot
swine
of stuff.
flu.
And
The
now
So
flu
you
yep.
find
wasn't
these
one of the
people that
reasons
are
behind it.
vaccinated, they're coming down with the coronavirus. So, what do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a thing that's going to just take its course.
It's here.
It's
It's
just going
here.
to take its course, and you just have
It's
to
here.
just,
Yep.
wear the mask and try to do all the things that you're supposed to do. Because in reality, even people that are coming down with the coronavirus, there is no medication for it. There is
No.
really no medication for it. The doctors tell you take Tylenol, take Advil, you know, take Theraflu. So
NyQuil works.
NyQuil, yeah,
Right.
NyQuil.
Change versus growth, liking the person you are and improving. Do small things in repetition to make yourself better.
True. That
So
is
true.
true. And it is. And one thing with change, you can't say and go big and oh well I'm gonna do this. And you struggle. Today, if you're a mean person all the time and you're gonna say for this month I'm gonna be nice. No, today I'm going to be nice. Okay, today I'm gonna be nice. Then tomorrow, okay, I was nice today, then tomorrow. And the more you do it, and there it is, it's repetition and doing small things instead of setting yourself up for failure. And I'm going back to a comment that Jennifer was saying about failure and with people changing, and you never know. And I think a lot of times people are fear of failing. However, you don't know if you will fail. You don't know if you're not gonna know. Um, you're not gonna know if you fail if you don't try.
That's
So
right.
you have to try it in order to know if you're going to fail.
That's right.
And that's the only way you can do, because fear will keep you in bondage and it will hinder you
Mhm.
from going forward. So the only way you can do it is, oh, I'm afraid of failing. The only way you can do it is step out and do it. And if
Mhm,
you fail,
Yeah.
you know where you failed at, you get
mhm.
back up, dust yourself off, just like a baby learning how to walk. A baby, just because they try, and they of course they failed the very first time, but they get up and they keep on trying. And that's the same thing with us, is that what we have to do is we have to at least try to change, be consistent. Okay, today I did good with changing and being consistent. Then tomorrow let me do the same thing. But if you never start, you don't
Hmm.
know if you're going to fail. And if
Yeah.
you fail, get back up and
And ask
do it
yourself why
again.
you failed.
Yeah. Hey,
Correct.
everything in life,
Inventory.
every invention in this world came with failure.
It did.
Yeah.
Everything. And look at how many times people have failed. And I think about
And kept
Tyler
going.
Perry. Tyler Perry was homeless, living in his car, had spent everything that he had. And that one particular day, a breakthrough happened. And look at where he's at today.
Yeah, and the same thing even with the guy who just did Squid Games, which is like the #1
Yes, Squid
Netflix
Game is
thing.
so popular. Yes,
Everybody had turned him down, and then now it's like crazy. But see,
it
but
is.
I have a different way of that saying that you say. I have a different saying when I talk to my children when it comes to trying things and trying new things. If you
Mm-hmm.
never try, for example, if I ask you, say, can I have $1, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't ask for $1, it's already a no because I don't have it. If I
Bingo.
if I ask you and you say no, that's a no. The best thing I could do is ask you and you say yes. At least I give me the possibility of change or getting what I want. So if you never try, it's automatically a
Yes.
no. So at the very least, just go ahead and try because at least you give yourself the chance for there to be a yes or that it
Or
works
a
out in your
no.
life. And that's kind of how it is when I get ready to move out and try different things. I'm not afraid of the failure. I just go ahead and try again until you get it right. So
And I
That's it. And
and through my life, I don't even use the word failure. If I step out and try something and I'm not successful at it, then I have an opportunity to make a choice to continue to
bingo.
try that thing again or to try another way, try something
That's it.
else. So I don't even look at failures. I don't look at me failing in anything. I look at me making adjustments. Maybe I didn't like take something cooking, for instance. I'm not, I consider myself a great cook, but there's a certain thing that I know I'm not good at, and it
Mm-hmm.
just didn't turn out right. But I didn't consider it a failure. I just said, well, maybe next time I won't use as much
Correct.
or something else. So I didn't
yeah,
fail at it. It just wasn't as good as I hoped it to be.
and I
Right.
look at
And
it the same way.
even even taking that and you taking something and learning how to do it, the more you do it, the more you
The better you
perfect
get
it,
at it.
and
That's right.
that's it, and the
Yes.
And
better
see,
it gets.
I look at it based on Dr. Bennett, what you said. I look at it as kind of like, it's. I know we don't want to use the word failure, but it's only a failure if you give up. It's kind of
Yes.
like when
There you go. There you go.
like when you invest in the stock market, right?
Mhm.
And you
Yep.
buy something and it costs like $5. Well, you only lost if you take it out less than $5.
Right.
As long as you
Right.
hold on to it, there's a possibility that it can increase. And
Right.
so it's only
Mm-hmm.
on, and so it's only when you give up and that you give out
That's when
before
you
you
know
get
it's
what you
Bingo.
a
invested in that
yeah.
it's a waste. But as
That's
long
right.
as you continue to invest in it, it'll pan out for you.
That's
And
right.
as we're talking about change and these resolutions and stuff like that,
Mhm.
just because you messed up on last year, just because you messed up in the first month of December, look, there's still 11 more months to get it together.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly.
Evaluate yourself
That's
each
right.
month. If
That's
you don't want to
right.
evaluate yourself once every year, okay, evaluate yourself weekly. Evaluate. I do a man the task. I tell guys what they're supposed to be doing every week, potentially what they're supposed to be doing every week. If they don't do it and we don't get it right, okay, let me figure this out. What we're supposed to be doing the next week. The point is, do you really want the change? That's ultimately
Correct.
what it's about.
Yes.
How bad do you want the change? You want to lose weight? You want to make money? You want to be an entrepreneur? How bad do you want these things, or do you just kind of like the ideal of these things?
Right.
And
Because
I think that
Oh,
that's the key thing is how bad do you want to see
correct. Correct.
something happen? Because you can sit all day and say, I want to be financially prosperous. I want to lose weight. I want to be healthier. I want to get a better job. If things are not going to just happen because we say that we want them to happen, it has to be some effort that you make. And
There you go.
sometimes it may not happen the first time around. You may have a great idea. You may have an idea of an invention or something or business or something like that. And you may try to get it off the ground and it may not happen initially. But it doesn't mean that it can't happen. But you have to
Correct.
be patient. It doesn't mean that if you want to buy that house, it's not going to happen. If you want to have children, it's not going to happen. You have to be patient with
Very
the
There you
process.
go.
And a lot of times people are not patient with the process because we are a
Say
microwave
it.
society.
Yep.
So everything that we have, we want it right then and there. If it doesn't happen right then and there, we are done with it. It's really like, I'm not going to do it then. So it depends on how passionate I think you are about change and how much you really want it. Because if I'm determined to do something, then I'm going to put everything I have into it to make it happen.
And not only putting it into it, you have to speak it. You have to speak it instead of, like you said, losing patience, not having patience. A lot of people don't have patience, and one of the first things they come up with, well, it's not for me. You know, that's for somebody else. No,
Right.
you can't speak. You can't speak life and death out of the same fountain. You have to speak one or the other, and you speak that thing, and you can speak it. You can speak those things that are not as though they were, and you can strive to reach that goal. But you have to keep on pressing and be patient. Patient.
You're right. And exactly. And sometimes it's not our timing, it's God's timing. And
Yes.
so in the process, and this is something we teach in the process, God is making you in the process. He's growing you in the process.
Yes.
And what is it that you are supposed to learn in the process?
In the
Yes.
process.
Just like what Lady V and Minister Isaac said, you know, oh my God, I forgot just that quick. But the microwave mentality. That's our problem. Everything we want it as soon as we say it, at the snap of our fingers. We think it's supposed to happen, and God is like, no, if I give it to you now, you're not going to be able to handle it. So when I do give it to you, I need to make sure that you can handle it. You're prepared for it. You're mature enough for it, so that when you get it, I know that I have you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
And I have a saying that says it's not easy, but it's worth it.
Yes.
Most of the things that we want in our life, we want it right away, and we want it quick and easy. But usually the stuff that you can get easily are soon falling away. But the things that require that have value to it, that are worth anything, require you to continue to work at it. So I always say it's not easy, but it's worth it if you continue to work on this thing.
Yes,
and Pastor AT, I use something close to that in my life. It's not easy, but it's possible.
Yes.
You know, I'll borrow that one. You'll see that again later on. I'll borrow that one.
Yeah, and you know what though, but people don't want to sit in the actual process.
Right.
No, they don't.
Think about when you think about a really good meal, is that the process that it takes to make that thing from scratch,
Yes.
and everything that happens to make the meal savory.
Right.
It's just like that when it comes to us. There are lessons that we must learn within the actual process.
Yes.
If you don't get the lessons, then you would never pass the grade.
That is so true.
That
is so
never pass the grade.
That is so true, because there's some things we're not ready for.
Right.
We're not. Exactly.
It's not about sometimes the change, but the lessons learned. And a lot of times we don't learn the lessons, so the change doesn't take place because we don't ask, what is the lesson learned in this?
Bingo.
You know, how did I get here? Why? And what was the outcome? What was the lesson learned in this? And I think that when we talk about lessons learned, and that will be that's going to be an awesome topic later, you know, because I think that it's important that when we were kids, our parents used to say, "Did you learn your lesson? Did you learn your lesson?" But when we become adults, we don't understand that we're still in the learn lesson process, whether big or small. It's always going to be, what is the lesson learned? So then I can step back and I can look at myself and I can say, you know what? I can do this a little bit different this time because I learned the lesson.
Right.
But it is 6:59. Dr. Yvonne Bennett, 2022 is right around the corner. What is your 1-minute message to our viewers for the new year?
My 1-minute message would be, know yourself and take an assessment of yourself so that you can be a better self than you were in 2021.
Pastor AT?
I would say learn to be honest with yourself. You will never change anything in your life or even seek for a solution to change if you're not honest about the problems or where you are in your life. If you can be honest with yourself, then you'll start finding solutions to make you a better person. And ultimately, that's what we should be striving to be, is a better human being, a better person in this experience of
Right.
life.
Yes.
Dr. Isaac.
I was sitting here thinking about something. Um,
Pastor
um,
Melanie.
Okay,
no,
put God. You because I can go and then you
go
can.
ahead.
Okay, put God first, and He won't put you last. Seek Him in everything that you do.
Right.
Well, the only thing I got for you is you are the only person that you should be satisfied. Stop living by anybody else's standard. Live by God's standard.
Ooh,
Amen.
there you
I like
go.
that. I like that. Mine is be true to thy own self. You know,
Yes,
look, be the man that's looking in the mirror. The mirror doesn't lie. So
you got
you
that
can
right.
look in that mirror and you can see yourself for who you are. Then you can learn to love who you are, and whatever changes needs to take place, then you'll accept those changes and you'll go for it. So be true to thy own self. Well, guys, this
Amen.
has been such an awesome topic. Oh my goodness, the next time we see each other, it will be 2022.
Yeah.
So until then, we want to wish everyone a happy new year. Please, 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 if you have to go out, please follow all COVID safety guidelines. If you don't have to go out, then stay in the house. But if you go out, wear your mask, practice social distancing, and look, next year it is going to be on and popping because we're going to have some really great topics. I am your host, Lady V. You have Dr. Yvonne Bennett, Pastor Melanie Butler, Dr. Isaac, and you have Pastor AT. Until 2022, Happy New Year.
New Year.
And always
Happy New
remember,
Year.
you have a voice. God bless you.
God
Happy
bless
New
everybody.
Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year,
New Year,
everyone.
guys.
Bye.
God bless you.
Bye. God bless.
God bless you.